Hey, it's Mike with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Monday. It's May 17th. This will be our chart lesson for today. And we had a pretty good trading day today. It's been a while since we got as many second entry opportunities as we did today. We got several here. Clearly clear downtrend until we got the break here and a move to a new low, and then it was clearly up from that point forward. There's actually, you might have looked at this one like so here. There's a secondary channel there. Really all you needed was this one because that got you into 2 o'clock. But this other one's here, and it might have helped you even with this trade by drawing that angle right there. But really nice trading day today for a change. Even though we got it feels sideways kind of somewhat here, you can see that the trend is clearly down. That trend line's clearly in place. So if you get a good setup off of that trend line, you just about have to take it. And even when we got the break here, you got a clear second entry with a little trap up here. We'll talk about it, lower high, failed second entry long or whatever. It was just a really good trading day. Even if you throw out the failures, there's still some really nice trades in here today. Several second entries with the trend, and that's what you're looking for. So anyway, let me back out. We'll go through the trades, and then we'll wrap the day up here. It was a little slow getting started, it was, but right out of the gate you get a nice trade here on. It's a little more advanced, so I shouldn't say right out of the gate. It was really here before you got a good second entry, but you had to be a little patient this morning. It seemed like for a little bit there it was going to be another one of those days where you just don't get many setups, but then they started coming in, and so. Uh, 7 o'clock came just as we're bottoming out here, and you can see you didn't get a trade until into 8:30, and that one's green, so it was really almost 9 o'clock before we got our first trade here. But let's talk about these trades, and notice you had the trend. It looked a little. I mean, basically we were going sideways early on here, and you had this move down, and then we bounced here. It looked like it may be a failed breakout, and so when you got this second entry, notice that trend working up and it turns down first entry, second entry, and you're going to expect prices to come back and test this breakout area, uh, retest this high if nothing else based on the channel. It's just a little congestive, but it's clearly a second entry and it's a nice signal bar as well. Uh, if you took this one, it's a little aggressive. I mean, because of that congestion, you got 1, 2, 3, 4 bars stacked up for this breaks higher, and a couple of them, have that small body or no body. So it's definitely congestion, and we are under the EMA there, although that's not super critical at this point because this feels like a range day so far. You don't have this channel proven yet. You probably don't even looking at this channel yet. But anyway, we get the break, 2 legs to a new high, and we turn down. There's actually a second entry short here, but not a good enough signal bar. So you want to wait on a lower high or something different. And you get a lower high here, but still no setup. Then it pulls back and tests that breakout area again and gives you a failed second entry long. So when it breaks lower below that bar right there, that's a failure. And I like going short there. And that was a quick, easy move. And I know I got at least one trader that sent me a trade example of him trading that. So I know I'm not the only one that saw it. We have some traders, other traders that saw it. Again, disclaimer, and I have to almost say this every time now, if you're new at this and you're just learning, don't worry about failures because all you'll do is confuse yourself and delay your learning curve. And I know most of you are going to ignore that disclaimer, but there it is. So if you take a trade, if you take a failure and it fails, you don't have to ask me why. You read it wrong. It's a failure. You didn't know what you were probably doing or you didn't read it properly. And it's a little more advanced. So just if you're new to this, just leave these alone. There's a reason I don't teach them in the manual with everything else, and it's because they're more difficult to trade and you need to have the basics down first. So anyway, failure there, boom, nice trade, nice runner. And then if you miss that one, you get a second entry right here. It actually triggers a second entry short when it breaks below this bar. So but you really need to use this for your signal bar. So you might have let it break lower and let this finish, and then you would have tried to go short below that bar or let it break below that bar and drop a limit order back. But guess what? You get And again, this is a inside bar, which normally we wouldn't want to use, but because of the way this is set up, I like going short one tick below that, or you might let it break lower and then drop a limit order back. But I think you'd have missed this trade. But I like taking this trade. Uh, you just get a little better entry than you would if it breaks below here. So you might let it break below there and drop a limit order right there, one tick below that. And I believe you would have gotten filled on that, but I just like going short one tick lower there. I mean, it's a strong downtrend. You're looking for a new low, and you've already had a second entry. You've got a second entry. Notice, let me go back, step back here because I may not have explained this, but notice you got a new low, first entry. So when it broke below that green bar, it's a second entry already. But you can count this as a new low, so you get a first entry and then a second entry right there as well. And unfortunately, that is a inside bar, so you got to be real careful with them because they're not as reliable. But with you got a double, with that being a second entry both ways and a downtrend, and you're looking for a new low right at the EMA, take that trade. I like that trade. There's a second entry long, but you don't want to be going long. And if you just wait a minute, you get another second entry with a triple test here. You made that high, you test it once, you test it twice. And this is actually a little lower high, and it's a second entry short with plenty of room back to the EMA. Nice signal bar. Boom. Another quick move down. And there's actually a lower high here, but that's by this time this is looking like a range, and I don't like going short there. And you don't want to be picking any longs yet. It's too early to be looking for longs. We're working down here, and what I would have looked for here. Notice this is a bigger two-legged correction, so measure your measured move right there and look for a measured move down from here. And that's right across there. And lo and behold, that's almost, come on, I'm having a hard, it's treating it like a double click on it. But you can see that that was a nice move, and somewhere I moved something. I think I accidentally grabbed that. I was having a hard time there. But anyway, that's your measured move you're looking for. And we came really, really close. It ended up we found some strong support here. But the key is you got a two-tier channel working lower, and that's the key figure there. And that's why we don't trade these pennants and flags and whatever else they call this stuff, because there's no such thing. Really, what you've got here is a trend channel working down with some strong support below it, so it makes it look like a little triangle. And they'll teach you to trade this to the breakout to the upside, and whichever side it breaks first. And notice it broke here first and went down, then it broke here first and then went up. So if you trade it the way most of these traditional patterns are traded, you just get chopped all to pieces. Stay away from that stuff. Don't believe that stuff. There's no such thing as a pennant or a flag. They're just created by support and resistance. And if you understand price action and you know this bigger channels here, you know that bigger channel is the more important pattern than the support. And you see it gave way, but we had a break and a new low by then, and we reversed. So if you know what the dominant pattern is, you know you can stay with these shorts and probably skip these longs. A lot of these longs would have failed. Some of them would have worked, but they're not worth risking. So keep that in mind. But we're working sideways here. We finally bounce, run up, back to the trend line, and you get a close outside, two legs up to a new high. Unfortunately, you don't get a good setup here to go short, but if you just wait, you get you get a lower high here, and those have equal matching, so you can go short one tick there, lower there, and off to the races. I made this one green because that is a little congested. But if you're just patient, and a few minutes later you get a lower high here, which also happens to be a failed second entry long. Notice that high, first entry, second entry. So even if you're not a real advanced trader, you could get this one off the lower high and just go short right there. One tick below that lower high, and that one's off to the races. Boom. You get another lower high here off the trend line, but it's just a first entry, not a very, you don't want to go short down there. It would have worked, but you can see it bounces real quickly, and you come back and you get the same thing almost again. except this is a new low. So first entry, when it broke lower below that, it's a second entry. No, normally, I probably wouldn't mark that one because it's a lot of sideways there, but you don't get the little doji looking bar with a small body, and you're so far away from the EMA, you're almost guaranteed that it's probably going to come back. Now, sometimes it'll break lower and turn and come back, but it doesn't really, even though it looks a little congestive, you don't have the tiny body or no body there, the doji looking bar. So uh, it's still a little sideways, but if you understand what's going on here, you know why. Prices had a strong move up, so there's still some momentum, but they can't get through that trend line, which is the dominant pattern. And so that's why you're finding this sideways stuff, and you know we're probably going to turn back down. And you can see it takes a little while to work through all that buying pressure there. But the dominant pattern is still in play all the way down there. So turns out to be another nice second entry. Then you're just chopping along. Just stay out of this. There's not a good entry there. It's tempting to go long right there, and it would have worked. But, and this is somewhat sideways now, but there's just no reason to buy right there. Um, this is more, at this point, if this was at the far right side, you can see, I mean, it could tick higher and continue down because the trend is down, and we're still making lower lows and lower highs. Just no reason to go long there. Even though it looks a little congestive and it looks like there might be a range, there's not enough information there yet. I mean, it turns out to be a little range, but just don't go long in there. And you don't want to go short right into the support either. So comes back here, and you technically this is a second entry short right here. But I don't think, and even though it moves pretty nicely, I don't think you want to take that. Notice the new swing low, then you get a first entry, and then it starts trading inside and breaks lower. So technically when it breaks lower there, that's the second time after it went back higher again. So if it would have broke higher and then turned down, maybe you take that trade. But the way it sets up, I just don't think you want to trade that. We're still seeing some residual left over from this sideways stuff here. But now you're making lower lows and lower highs again. And then, of course, you work up first entry, second entry, but that signal bar is too good. And notice the little channel maybe working up. Then you get a break, new high, and then a lower high right there, go short. And then another failure right here, breaks higher, fails, turns down. I like going short there. I don't know if I'd wait to go short all the way down here because now you're too close to all this support that's kind of been across here. So if you didn't go short on the engulfing bar, I'd probably skip that one. I mean, that's 18 ticks. It's a really big bar to be going short way down here. I think it still would have worked. Let's just see. He would have went short right there. So yeah, you still would have got out of that trade down there, but I don't recommend it down there. Anyway, then you make a new low, you bounce first entry, second entry, right off the key entry point again. Very nice bar, plenty of room back to the EMA by itself, but it just takes off lower. So you've had several second entries today. Then you just start chopping sideways again. Don't be going long out of here. There's no break of this trend line yet. Even though we got some strong support, this is a downtrend, and you can see the EMA is still pointing down. You can see that things are swinging back and forth, so it's got a little bit of a sideways, range type feel to it. But the bias is down, so if you're going to trade it, you probably want to trade down, not up. And there's several trades in there that would have worked, but I just stay away from them because the odds of you getting the right one are probably not good, and you'll get trapped a bunch. So anyway, we move back up. And then you get a lower high. It actually breaks higher above this bar, turns down, and you still got a long way back to the EMA, even back to this trend line right here. Since this is the first close outside of this big trend, two-tiered trend channel working down, I like going short there. And it's actually, you get a second entry right here. Notice there's a double bottom, so first entry and then second entry, and this is a lower high off a second entry. So I like that trade. Then it pushes through, comes back, and gives you the failure when it breaks lower right there, and there's another nice move down. I don't think you would have got a runner here. I think it would have come back and got it, but I marked this one green too because there is some congestion there. But if it breaks lower there, we're probably going lower, which we do. Then you make a new low, first entry, second entry. There's another second entry short down here below the EMA when you're looking for a new low anyway. But that's just a little bit too congestive there. And this is not a great signal bar. Again, it would have worked. But you see, you got a little trend working up. I didn't even draw that because it feels more sideways than up. But there's a little channel working up. You get a close, new high. And unfortunately, you don't get a good signal bar there. And now you've had the break, and now you got a new low. So now you could get a reversal. And notice how it runs up. You get a first entry, pushes higher, pulls back, get a second entry. So when it breaks higher here, that's a failed second entry short. And now you might take a long. Still, it's a little congestive here, but that doesn't necessarily matter because you are still making higher highs and higher lows. And on a trap, the signal bar doesn't matter nearly as much either. And I guarantee you they trap some shorts on that second entry right there. Almost guarantee it. And you can see how it runs up real quick. It's proof that, hey, you know, they got them trapped. Unfortunately, you just kind of keep working higher and you don't really get a good setup until you get a break right here. First entry and then second entry. And I marked this one green because that one's a little bit congestive. Again, you don't get the real tiny body because there's multiple ticks in that body, but it looks congestive. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bars there. But the fact that it breaks lower and turns up on a second entry, I like that trade because you're probably going to retest that high. And this is already played out. So, and if you drew this, this really confirms it. And then this just double confirms it. And the reason you can't go lower there is because of that trend line. So you really had to see that one to help with this one. And if you did, I'm okay with that trade. Otherwise, it's got to be green. So, and that takes us into 2 o'clock. So there is a reversal here, a failed second entry short, but it's too far away from the EMA. Not a good setup. It's not one we would take. So that's what I saw today. But again, it's even though it doesn't feel like it right in here, this is a downtrend. And this trend line is obviously, it's been confirmed multiple times. It never would take on off, but that's just because there's strong support down here. And you know, this felt like it wanted to reverse the whole time, but if you just stayed with the rules and stayed with the trend until we got the break and new low, then we get some clear buying that takes it on out of there. But until you got a break of that trend channel and a new low, it continued to go lower, even though it struggled at times. And you can see one thing that really kind of helps you see this is notice when you got the best moves, they were down. Now we'd get these little rallies, but then it boom. And you get a little rally, then boom. And you had a pretty nice one here, but it wasn't long. And it took a little while, but you can clearly see that trend line working and holding until boom, it falls off. So anyway, I hope you saw some of the second entries today, quite a few of them for a change, or I shouldn't say quite a few of them, but several good ones for a change. And it's been a while since we've had many. We've just had so many crazy trading days this last week or so that were kind of difficult days, but today felt a lot better. And you just had to be patient. It took a little while to get going. It was 9 o'clock before it really got going good. So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. I'm actually going to post a compilation of trades. Several traders, students sent me some trades over the weekend and some nice trades in there, really. So I just did a compilation of trades, and so you'll see that later this evening. It'll post and come out, and there's probably 4 or 5 trade examples in there, live trades. So be sure to watch those. But we got some people seeing some good stuff here and seeing these trades, and it's exciting to see that. And it's, you know, show you that other people, if you're new to this, that it can be learned and other people can see these same trades. So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.